Greetings to all of humanity. It's really a joy. It's a pleasure. It's always an honor to be greeting you, bringing this message of emancipation to you, whereby I'm pointing you to look inwardly to discover that your real identity is your divinity. Thus, the reason why I want to speak to you today concerning the importance of self-esteem and leadership. But just before I go any further, I just want to remind you concerning my BlackMadGuru merch, and there's a link that is provided below for you if you would like to support our merch. So remember to check out the link below for our BlackMadGuru merch and support this great work. Now, when it comes to self-esteem, that is something that has been kept hidden from many of us because of the way how we were raised and the things that we were taught from a very young age. Now, when it comes to self-esteem, many of us have just discovered how much we need to love, accept, and embrace ourselves, because we have come to learn that we were brainwashed from a very young age. And I'm going to show you how it really works, the brainwash I'm speaking about, how it works. Now, there's a scripture in the Bible in Proverbs 22, verses 6, I want to believe. It says that if you train up a child in the way that they should go, that when they become older, that they will not depart. And that is dealing with the subconscious mind. And as you know, I always teach that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. That the Bible is not literal, neither is it secular history. And that it was written symbolically and have no reference to anyone who existed thousands of years ago or to any actual event that would have taken place on earth thousands of years ago. I always teach you that from the beginning to the ending of the Bible, it's all a great psychological drama, and it all have to do with the human psyche. So when it says in Proverbs that if you train up a child in the way that they should go, that when they become older they would not depart. Those who wanted to keep you in a perpetual state of mental slavery, they know that it was speaking of that which you would impress upon the subconscious mind of a child over and over and over and over and over again, having them to use repetition, saying the same thing and doing the same thing over and over again, that they would not depart from it because it would shape their life and their belief system. So only when I start posting video on my channel, I remember someone commented and they told me that they were 71 years of age and that they would have achieved enlightenment because they traveled to India and so on. And in their life, growing up, they remember one time they had a conversation with a priest, and the priest says to him that if you give him a child from the age of 1 to around the age of 7 or 8, that you will have a Catholic for the rest of his life. So once that child from anywhere from 1 year old, as the bishop told the man, and you give them that child up to say 7 to 8 years old, you can have a Catholic for the rest of his life, because they know how the subconscious mind works. And because they understand how the subconscious mind works, they know that this scripture was speaking about the mind and what to impress upon the mind to make you act a certain way and have a certain belief system. So my brother and my sisters, the very first 7 to 8 years of our life is very crucial, and whatever been placed within our mind in those young stages of our life can influence our adulthood, the things we say and do. Therefore, it would determine whether we walk in the understanding of self-government, being a leader or being a follower. That is why you're told that you must not be conformed. And most of us have walked in the path of conformity. But we are also told that we must be transformed by the renewing of our minds. So we must renew our minds from the things that we were taught as a child by having the right understanding of the conscious and subconscious mind and how it really works. So this scripture was used many times by our parents and our teachers and our religious leaders to us, but they were quoting this scripture in a way to keep us brainwashed and trapped, even though many of them, they were doing it ignorantly, because they had us to believe that if they chain us up in a way to believe in a God outside of ourselves, to believe in Jesus, believe in the virgin birth, and believe that a man walked the earth 2,000 years ago with special powers, that would not depart from it, but that was robbing us of our true identity, which is our divinity. That is what is referred to as real slavery, because real slavery is mental slavery. Because you have to enslave a man first mentally before you can actually enslave him physically. Because everything starts in the mind. Everything was first a thought, it was first an idea, everything was first imagined. So everything that was done to us from a child, all of that was to sabotage our imagination, to sabotage our creative power, to sabotage knowing who we are. So my brother and my sisters, they have you fighting against yourself. They have you going against yourself. Therefore, you were never given the opportunity to build true self-esteem because of the belief system that was forced upon you. I say forced because at the time we just didn't know any better. And that is why when you come to the realization of who you are, you would find pleasure in teaching others how to embrace themselves, how to believe in themselves. The importance of self-esteem and leadership. How important it is for you to think for yourself. How important it is for you to vibrate beyond the boundaries of society and the laws that they have put in place to keep you in mediocrity, to keep you from knowing the power you possess that you can use to achieve your every desire. So my brother and my sisters, I want you to have a better understanding of Proverbs 22, chapter 22 and verse 6, when it says to train up a child. So you, if you're a parent and you listen to me, you know how to train up your child to think for themselves. Teach them that greatness is in them. Teach them that they can accomplish all things. Teach them the power of their imagination. Because actually a child was supposed to first imagine the grades that they would like to have in their work that they do at school and then work towards it. But instead, they make the children believe in the power of education over their imagination. When education came forth from imagination, for the pen, the book, the pencil, the bench, the desk, all these things, they were first imagined, they were first a thought, first an idea in someone's mind. So my brother and my sister, we have to take back our mind and learn to use the power of our mind by practicing true self-esteem, knowing that there's nothing more powerful than love. So you have to vibrate in the love energy and get out of that fear energy that they wanted us to keep you on by teaching you certain things as a child. So my brother and my sisters, free yourself. Only you can emancipate yourself from mental slavery. No one else could free you from mental slavery. And this message is giving you the opportunity to free yourself. Learn to build your self-esteem and be the Lord and Master of your destiny. You supposed to be the only leader of your life and no other, because everything exists in your imagination. For the imagination of man is God in man, and there is no other God. There is no God outside of yourself. God is not a man in the sky. God is the very life in you. Use that life to be of value to humanity by first of all loving yourself and embracing yourself. So you see the power and the importance of having true self-esteem, and that can only come from having true salvation, which is self-realization. So with that being said, my brother and my sisters, I hope what I would have said, it makes sense to you and it helps you to better yourself. And if you're a parent, as I would have said before, to be able to teach your children how to believe in themselves and how to trust the God within themselves and not one outside of themselves. Because if they do that, they will always live the life of the borrower and not the life of the lender. So they always live the life of slavery. And that is why in that same Proverbs chapter 22 verses 6 and 7, if you read 7, you will see that it tells you that the borrower is a slave to the lender and the rich rules over the poor. So because of the way how you were taught from a child, it would determine whether you would be rich or you be poor if you do not change your mentality. So you see, my brother and my sisters, when it comes to the rich and the poor, the lender and the borrower, it's all mental, it's all psychological, it all have to do with our upbringing, it all have to do with how we see ourselves and how we embrace ourselves. So as I said before, my brother and my sisters, I think I would have said enough. And I would like to thank you for listening to me. And if this is the very first time that you're listening to me and it's really helping you and you haven't subscribed already, I encourage you to subscribe, to like, to comment, to share this video. But before I leave you, I just want to remind you that this message, as usual as I bring to you, that this message is the single eye message of self-realization, of which Matthew 6:22 says that if your eye be single, your whole body be full of light. And my brother and my sisters, my wish is that everyone would be filled with light when that single eye awakes within them, as it did awake within me. For when it happens, you will change from mortal to immortality in a twinkling of an eye, which is the opening of an eye. And you will ascend up on high like a fiery being, and you will come out of your skull and become invisible. And then you will understand why I always say to you that it is the rising of the sun in a son, and that it is the dawning of a new day in your life. For truly the sun parallels the human imagination, and the human imagination parallels the sun. For without the sun there is no life and there is no light. And without the human imagination there isn't anything made that was made. And you're told in Psalms 84:11 that the Lord thy God is a sun and a shield, and no good thing will he withhold from you. And common sense will teach you that the Son has never withhold any good thing from humanity, for the Son is what powers all of humanity and give all of humanity its energy. Then in Malachi chapter 4 and verses 2, you're told also that the Son of Righteousness shall arise in you with healing in his wings. And truly, when the Son has risen in me, I am bringing healing to all of humanity, pointing each and every one to look inwardly to discover that your real identity is your divinity, and to use your mind power, which is your solar power, your sun power, your God power, your creative power, which is actually the sexual power. Use that power to achieve your every desire. But first of all, learn to build your self-esteem and take leadership over yourself. So with that being said, I want to say peace. Love you all. I'm out.